In this video, I'm sharing about the one money affirmation that I have been using over the past year or so to really improve how money has been manifesting in my experience. But first, if you're new to my channel, then welcome. My name is Adrianne. I'm a manifesting coach and intuitive guide, and on my channel, we talk about getting into the flow and manifesting with ease. So if that is something you're interested in, I invite you to click the subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you'll be the first to know when I publish new videos. So like I mentioned in this video, I want to share about the one money affirmation that I have been using recently that has been really helpful and kind of how I created this affirmation and what some of the results of it have been, so that you can follow a similar process if you would like to create your own awesome money affirmation. But before I get into that, I'll just share, just for frame of reference, kind of before I started working with this affirmation, what my experience with money was like, just briefly. So basically, it felt a lot like kind of this up and down relationship where at times I would be manifesting money really well and really abundantly. And then at other times, it would be really like a struggle to create the money that I wanted. My bank account balance would get really low. I would be having trouble manifesting money in my business, even though I really wanted to, and I was working really hard for it. And yeah, so it was just kind of like this financial roller coaster. So that was basically the experience before I started working with this, was just that money felt like this topic that no matter how much kind of mental effort and focus that I put on it in manifesting practices that I did, which I did do a lot, it took so much effort to try to create a consistent financial positive reality. And yeah, it usually ended up being where it was like this up and down thing where it would go well for a while and then it would inevitably kind of crash and burn and go back downhill again. So that was what I was working with before I started working with this affirmation and kind of having this breakthrough, just to give you a frame of reference. So at the point when I created this affirmation, I had basically come to like a point where money just felt really kind of heavy to think about. I kind of avoided thinking about it after this long history of kind of up and down. And so while I would try to do some manifesting practice towards it, they were kind of half-hearted until I had a bit of a breakthrough. And I talked about this already in another video, which I will link up here, but basically the breakthrough for me with money came from being able to finally kind of recognize and own and then be able to release some of the more negative feelings that I was having about money. And for me specifically, it was like these feelings of shame or these feelings of like negative self-judgment about having that up and down money manifesting experience that I talked about in the beginning. And so, like I talk about in the video that I just mentioned, I was able to finally kind of like just allow myself to kind of forgive myself, or like kind of accept myself for having this experience, even though like I knew so much about manifesting and about money, and I had had some positive experiences, just to be able to kind of accept and forgive myself for the more negative experiences that I was creating. That kind of awareness and that release of this negative kind of judgment or this sense of shame or embarrassment helped kind of the topic of money to overall start to feel more neutral and less have this negative charge about it. And so from that kind of more neutral place, I was able to then ask myself a different question about money and be able to authentically answer it. And that question is what led me to create this powerful affirmation. The question was, what do I want to be creating instead with money? So when I asked myself that question of what do I want to be creating with money, I was thinking about it more from an emotional sense and kind of an experiential sense. And I came up with 3 different ways that I wanted money to show up differently. So the first thing that I identified that was really felt important to me and like the change that I really wanted to make was I wanted money to start showing up in more of a natural way for me. And so what I meant by that was that I wanted money, instead of before where it felt like I continually felt like I wasn't doing enough, or there was always like more I needed to be or do kind of in my business or in my life in order to be enough for making the kind of money that I wanted or for attracting money. Like in business, I felt that I always felt that I needed to do like more marketing, or that I needed to have better offers or better services or all these things. And what I wanted instead was just to feel like money manifested for me naturally. So just as a natural result of who I am, what I naturally feel like doing, and just that I'm already automatically good enough, worthy enough, a match for receiving the money that I wanted. So that was the first piece, was natural. I wanted money to feel like it flowed to me very naturally. And then the second piece that I added to my affirmation was ease. I wanted money to manifest in an easy way, in an automatic way, in a way where previously it felt like, especially kind of in my business or even in some other jobs that I had had in the past, where I had to put in a lot of effort, like market my services really hard or take a lot of action in order to receive money. And I wanted the opposite of that. I wanted it to now manifest with ease. I wanted it to be easy. So that was the second thing that I added to my affirmation. So I've got natural, easy, and then the third one that I added was abundant. I wanted money to manifest consistently, abundantly, more than enough. So the money affirmation that I created that worked really well for me was money flows to me naturally, easily, and abundantly. So yeah, that was the affirmation that I used. And so let me talk a little bit about how that really helped to change the game for me with money manifestation. So like I talked about it a minute ago, what was kind of preventing me from manifesting money as successfully as I wanted to for a while was just kind of this residual negative kind of self-judgment or shame or like embarrassment around those ups and downs. So once I was able to release that, get to a more neutral place, I could then identify what I wanted, and I did that really clearly. I wanted money to manifest naturally, easily, and abundantly. So then all that I did from there was just practice those feelings of what it would really feel like from using this affirmation for money to manifest naturally, easily, and abundantly. So I spent regular time with my journal and just with my imagination and just feeling into what that would really be like for money to just come to me naturally, easily, and abundantly. And so I got really clear emotionally on what that experience was like. And as I did this, my money reality just kind of naturally started aligning more and more in that direction. So just to give a few examples, like I said at the beginning of the video, previous to this, in order to manifest money in my business, I always felt that I needed to take a lot of action, like do a lot of marketing or really put in this effort to be enough to manifest the money that I wanted. A lot of times that felt true, that felt like the case. But after I started working with this affirmation, I more often had clients buying my services, people buying my services online without me doing any kind of extra effort with marketing beyond just kind of these YouTube videos that I do once every 3 weeks at this point. So not a lot of effort really, something that I really enjoy. And yeah, in that way, I was receiving this new experience of people just kind of buying my stuff automatically. And also it incorporated that feeling of naturalness too that I talked about, because this is just something that I naturally feel drawn to do. It's just kind of a natural expression of who I am, is kind of making these videos. And I also do a newsletter where I share kind of personal stories that incorporate some of the manifesting lessons from these videos. And so that kind of really fit with my intention of, or my affirmation of money manifesting naturally, because yeah, that making these videos, writing those newsletters is really a way that I not only enjoy kind of being creative and putting something out there, my own kind of insights and my thoughts about things, but it's also something that really helps me with my own kind of journey of self-discovery and understanding and working on becoming a better content creator, stuff like that. So really, like, just in that way, things started flowing a lot better as far as just the income flow from the business started happening a lot more easily than before, and a lot more naturally. And other changes that happened was I found ways to reduce my debt. I had a large amount of credit card debt, and that's all gone now. I'm able to save more money than I was before, and kind of have like this additional savings cushion that I didn't have before. And that is another kind of example of the abundance feeling that I've been cultivating based on my affirmation. And then also being able to have the experience of going on some nice vacations too, but not doing any of these things that feel abundant and then feeling like it's that up and down cycle before, where it's like times are good and then times are really bad. I've been able to have kind of more of a steady, consistent, positive experience with money that's been kind of steadily improving. And so it just feels like, yeah, being able to create that neutral space through recognizing and being able to finally release some of the negative emotions that I carried around in money, and then just simply asking myself, what do I want my experience with money to be like instead, and then practicing that experience emotionally, energetically, has really been the thing that has changed everything and really started to move me in this consistently more positive direction. And I don't feel like that's anything really earth-shattering as far as kind of what we understand, what most of us understand about manifesting. The one thing that I do think is key that not everybody gets about manifesting is the first part of being able to recognize and release some of the resistance, some of the negative emotion. That's something that I think made the biggest difference, even within the span of a day of when I was able to do that, when I was able to have like this really good emotional release of negative energy, of this shame or this like embarrassment around my finances. I found $2,000 in an account that I didn't even know that I had. And so it was like a pretty instant, and I also got a job offer that day too. So it was like a pretty instant manifestation just on the heels of releasing some of this negative energy, these negative feelings about money. And so that's like, I think besides the affirmation, the other thing that possibly made as big or maybe even a bigger difference was just being willing to not try to affirm what I wanted, to try to counteract that resistance or to try to overcome it or to try to kind of fake it till I make it, but instead to really feel and acknowledge that resistance, that negative feelings of shame and of embarrassment, and then be able to make peace with them and release them and get to an overall more neutral place. That really made the hugest difference, I think, or as huge of a difference as the affirmation. And those two things working together really made all the difference for me, really changed everything for me with money manifesting. So anyway, I just wanted to film this little video just to kind of share a bit about my journey with that kind of so far, and kind of check back in since I made that video about my breakthrough on this topic a little over a year ago, and just to kind of confirm and affirm that what I shared in that video still feels very true, and that definitely that shift that happened around that time has been sustained and has been super helpful for me. So as always, I would love to hear from you if you have any thoughts or insights on this topic, if you have any of your own money manifestation insights or epiphanies that you feel inspired to share. Definitely, I'd love to hear about that. Leave a comment down below and let me know what's on your mind about this topic. And if you would like more from me, I have links to all of my resources below this video as well in the description box. I have a free guide about the 7 habits of highly magical people. I have links to learn more about coaching, psychic readings, workshops, so that's all down below as well. If you liked this video, I definitely recommend watching the video that I mentioned about my money manifesting breakthrough that happened a little over a year ago. That one goes deeper into that topic of releasing resistance to improve your relationship with money or any other topic that's important. So thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy manifesting.